This edition of the Bob and Kel CleverCast for the week of November 9th is brought to you by Gaza Strippers, providing quality exotic dancing for the Palestinian community since
goodness.
1948. How do you get there? Well, you go from the river to the sea. You go from, you got to go north on Gush Kilat and then take a left on Al Bahar, and you're there. Tell them Bibi sent you, and see what they say. Tomorrow night, by the way, is PGI Shabbat at Gaza Strippers, and that's where we let the Jews in. Be there, will be wild, suffice to say.
I was waiting for the direction of getting out and cutting off your Schlossen, but that didn't happen.
That's Carson from the 60s and 70s. No, that would be just as relevant, wouldn't it?
Do the Gaza Strippers, do they wear their full burqa, and that's what they're pulling off?
Well, I think you may have them mixed up with the hardcore Muslim women.
No.
These don't wear anything like that, no.
Loose and amoral. I got it.
But here's the deal. I mean, your home's just been blown to bits. You got 4 hours to kill with the next humanitarian pause. You need some place to go and blow off steam. I don't want any of you who are Palestinians located in Gaza within the sound of my voice to even look at that Rafah checkpoint into Egypt. Don't consider escaping until you've been to Gaza Strippers. And we welcome our guest, author of the Leinfelder Social Theorem, and whose album dropped today entitled Emaciated, the musical story of his Wegovy journey. Dr. James Leinfelder of Minneapolis is here. I thought about you today when I came down with a side effect of Rybelsus. They told me on my first visit there, when they prescribed the Rybelsus, they said, "Now be prepared for it. This is a strange side effect." I said, "Oh, really? What is it?" "So help me God." They go, "Jock itch." Jock itch? I'm now on my second case of jock itch, effective today after 3 months on Rybelsus. I'll bet you can't top that. What were your big side effects, if any, on Wegovy?
Well, mine was pretty mundane and obvious, which was vomiting.
Ugh.
After my daughter's softball team's final big softball win under my coaching expertise, they completed a perfect season, undefeated. I was doused with very cold water, as was promised, or at the beginning of the season. We went to a local pizza parlor, had some pizza, and I had to excuse myself from the table to blow that particular lunch.
Requiem for a stomach content.
Yes. And but that was the only time. So
good.
Yeah.
But you were warned that might happen?
Yeah, that was I had just upped my dosage, I think maybe the day before. And so apparently there was an adjustment period.
I don't know. I think if I ate a bunch of pizza and then had water dumped on me, I might vomit too.
This was post the water dump.
Okay.
Which was so cold it gave me a headache. But other than that, well, it does slow down the old digestive tract.
Here, I was just about to ask about the launching pad at the other end.
Yeah.
What went on there?
Nothing for a while.
Minds.
Yeah.
By the way, this came up in conversation here in my own home a few days ago. What are the trots? Are the trots the same as diarrhea?
Yes.
Okay. And you had a small, or you had a
I had the clods.
Oh my God.
Where it just that whole thing shuts down for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And you start to worry, and just when you're starting to become concerned, you go out for a Mexican lunch and you're fine.
What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to ask you questions that would not lead anyone to believe that you and I have texted about this subject off and on for the past several months. This started in what month?
I want to say April.
Okay.
Yeah.
And after a certain amount of time, and by the way, what was the dosage? Was it a gradual increase in dosage? For those who
Yeah,
don't know,
and I've
Wegovy is
actually
the
I've
Wegovy is the
planed
pen,
off
right?
at the second to the most intense dosage because I've been having success. So I haven't bumped all the way to 2.4, which is the next level. I may not reach it because I'm having pretty good success.
Oh my God, you're sounding like Martin Luther King now. I may not get there with you, but I don't mind because I've been to the mountaintop. I've thrown up the pizza. I've had the plods.
Yeah, I've purged and I've retained.
And you told me that there were times when you forgot to eat.
Yes, that happens every once in a while, especially, you get the injection once a week, and the closer to your injection, there are times when I just, oh my gosh, I didn't eat lunch. I better have a little something. So that's what goes away for me anyway, is the what my wife has referred to as the food noise. Where if I, like tonight, it's Thursday night football. If I were sitting down and watching that, I would just idly think, I better have a bowl of chips and some hot sauce. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
And now the thought does not enter my thinking.
Isn't that nuts?
Isn't
that just nuts?
Yeah, because
I mean, I used to be the same
thinking?
with a cup of coffee, a cigarette with a cup of coffee. And
Yeah.
then once I was able to quit and you get past that, occasionally I'll get little jolts about anything habitual. I'll get little jolts of need for that kind of thing. I talked to my mother on the phone for 20 years every Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. When this Sunday rolls around at 3 o'clock, I get a little jolt, like I should be talking to her. Habits
Sure.
are fascinating.
Yeah, they can be great labor savers. If every little mundane thing we had to do over the course of the day actually required our attention and deliberation, it'd be kind of a waste of our time. So habits can be liberating, but they can also be prisons.
Yeah.
So for me, I've been, as you know, you've known me a long time. I've been mostly a pretty skinny guy. And actually, even like just today, I had lunch with some guys, and I announced, that I'd lost 40 pounds to one of the guys who was there who I hadn't seen in a long time. And he at least feigned astonishment because he said, you never struck me as being overweight. You've never struck me as having 40 pounds you didn't need.
Some people wear their clothes well, don't you think?
I
They
guess,
wear their clothes in ways
right. I think it was just distributed evenly all over my corpus. I can't, otherwise, I don't know why, but I'm telling you, man, I feel so much better just as a person walking around, moving through space.
Yeah.
I feel like my old self.
When you start walking like Ivanka Trump, call me because I want to watch you walk. I'm fascinated by the way she walks. She does this swan-like gliding thing, and the hands are in perfect perfect syncopation, and then she does a bobbing thing with her body. She moves forward, that she bobs, and then the hands are like this, and I'm just going, who taught her to do that?
She reminds me of the female character in Mars Attacks.
Right.
Who she had a similar way of almost levitating around, except she doesn't say ack, but her testimony basically amounted to that.
One of these days, I hope to see Jared Kushner sneaking into Gaza strippers with maybe a COVID mask to conceal his identity. What a lucky stiff! I swear to God, your dad's a mobster, and you're a thief, and you still rate this fabulous babe who walks like a freaking swan. I would just like to sit up in bed and just say, honey, walk across the room. Just walk up. Just okay. Now give me a twirl. Come back the other way. That would just be so awesome.
She also looks great driving a golf ball in 3-inch high heels, if you've ever seen that video.
I've not seen that. Is that a video on YouTube?
Yeah, and it's certainly better than any drive I've ever hit.
So you feared that you were morbidly obese. Is that why the hurry to lose the weight in a short amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, I was told by clinicians that I needed to lose the weight, that I was flirting with type 2 diabetes. I had like swollen ankles, like water retention around my ankles. Yeah, I wasn't happy about it at all. And even though I was fairly fit in terms of activity, I could go out and ride 50 miles.
You're an active guy.
Right. And high blood pressure, which was not responding really much to the many medications that I was taking.
Is that the same as hypertension?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so now it's not gone, but I take fewer high blood pressure meds so that I don't like. Can I tell you a quick little story?
Sure.
I had taken
Is there nudity? Is there profanity and nudity and alcohol?
No, it's way on the other end of that spectrum. I take it into a Honda dealership. They're not a sponsor, are they? Okay, I take it into a Honda dealership, and then I rode my bike home, and then they call and say, "Hey, your car's ready." So then I ride my bike out there to Richfield to get it. So I've exerted myself, and I'm thinking as I'm waiting to transact the business to get my car back, I wish there were chairs to sit on because I feel like I'm going to faint. And there's an older couple in front of me, and they have questions like, how do we turn off the radio? And so someone's helping them with that with their car. And then and just as I'm about to deal with the same guy, I catch out of the corner of my eye that same couple, and I glance over through the window, and the old guy is down on his knees. And at first I think, boy, he is really inspecting the work they've done on his car. And then I realized, no, he's fallen and he's trying to get up, and I rush out there to help. And I say, is it okay if I lift you up to your feet? He says, yes. And then all of a sudden everything goes fuzzy. And the next thing I become aware of is his elderly wife, who's already got her husband to deal with.
Oh my goodness.
I hear her saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And
wow.
I had fuzzed out and was apparently staring off into space. And I finally come back to awareness, and I'm embarrassed. And so then I say, "Let me get you a dry and a wet towel from the men's room." And then I weave off and do that, and I come back. But I mean, I just about keeled over in front of this 80-some-year-old couple.
Right.
So anyway, now I don't have that experience when I exert myself.
This reminds me of a car story with the bonus mention of obesity that I read about today in Barbara Streisand's memoir.
Oh,
apparently, Brando invited her to dinner. Brando invited her to dinner back in the 90s, and he drove her to dinner. Okay, so she gets out of the passenger side and
I don't even know the story.
Comes around to open his door and has to pull him out of the car.
Oh my!
They try everything.
Couldn't do it.
They try everything to get him out of the car, and she's pulling on both of his arms. That's how big he was. He needed Wegovy. He needed what's the other, Ozempic. They're basically the same active ingredient?
I think so. I wish my wife was home because she could set us straight on that. She just is in the process of getting her certification in obesity medicine as a subspecialty.
Wow.
So
how lucky are you to live with a pro?
Exactly. I mean,
man.
She doesn't prescribe me anything, but she tells me what to ask for when I go to my doctor.
and her admin involvement helped you with the cost, right? Because I'm hearing, I forget whether it's with insurance or without insurance, that it's costing people $1,000 a month.
Yeah, as we say here in Minnesota, it's kind of spendy. And actually, my insurance company has informed me, but after I'd already begun the cycle or whatever, that we are no longer covering treatment for obesity, which is kind of weird because that'd be like saying we're not covering treatment for diabetes or
No,
for
they would
cancer.
want, there you go. They would want proof, would they not, that you were diabetic?
Right. They'd rather wait until I actually have diabetes
Right.
and then
Or an
have
arm fell
all
off or
kinds of
something.
expensive complications as
Yeah.
opposed to pay for this treatment now that could prevent all that from ever happening. But
Yeah.
they have their actuaries and I don't have
Right.
mine.
You, by the way, insurance is a racket. Can we all agree? Can all four of us agree that this is legal mafia type activity straight from Sicily?
Yeah.
The insurance, the American insurance industry is. You apparently have no fear of needles. I
No.
was shown how it works,
Yeah.
and it's an EpiPen type of thing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
is it administered to the belly every so
Yep.
often, every day or whatever?
No, just once a week.
Once a week, and you punch it like you would a pin, and it goes into your system,
Exactly.
and that's that.
And you never see the needle,
Right?
if that helps, for people
Do
who
you,
don't
do
like
you
them.
do you feel it?
Barely, really.
Yeah.
They're
It sounds
such
like
small gauge.
an injection in the truest sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's no big deal. And I'm telling you, it's just great getting back to how I've spent the majority of my life as a trim guy. And I can just feel it in small ways. Like I was on a hike with some guys and there were a couple of trees that were felled, across the trail. And back in my 240 days, I
Yeah.
would have just sort of swung a leg over, and gotten over it fine. But instead, I dealt with it the way I used to deal with things like that, where I just leapt over it,
Yeah.
and it felt great.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's a small thing, and of
No,
how
but
much
money
consequence.
can't buy it, man. It's
Yeah,
one of life's baked in joys. That's just awesome.
exactly. Especially at this stage of the game, it's particularly sweet. So yeah, it's great.
Another quick car story, if I may, a little off the beaten path. I was
Yeah.
reminded of this yesterday when I reminisced with my San Jose sidekick from 1985. Do you remember my intern at KSTP, whose honor name was Mercedes?
Oh, of course.
Okay, and we had every Friday was Mercedes weekend,
Yeah.
and as a token of our appreciation for her, I was overpaid at that point in my life to the degree that I could snap off 10 hundreds for her, basically
Nice.
every week. So she saved her Mercedes weekend cash. She went to a Honda dealership. The Honda, slightly chauvinistic Honda dealership guy goes her over to a Prelude or an Accord or whatever that is teal. He sits her in it and he goes, "Oh, this color is perfect. Really brings out your hair. I think you really look good in this car. Why don't you bring your husband back and we can get your signature on the dotted line?" What do you think
Oh,
of what do you think of that?
where was
Got to
this
have the
dealership
husband show
located
up.
in 1956?
Isn't that wild?
God.
This
Oh,
is just 30 years ago in supposedly, welfare state, Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
even to
Man.
this day, we'll go shopping for a car or what have you, and we'll sit down and they always will direct their questions to me and not Marcella. It's the way it
Oh,
goes.
Isn't that
Still,
wild?
yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Tone
Well,
deaf.
yeah, we're watching this. I'd never seen Brie Larson's work before. We're watching Lessons in Chemistry on Apple Plus,
Oh, yeah.
and
I hear that's good.
she is portraying a woman up against that kind of stuff back in the 1950s.
Right,
To,
right.
to get credibility for her work as a chemist, and then she goes on to use the chemistry part of cooking to become a nationally known chef. It's, you know, rags to riches thing, but based in fact because of the
Yeah.
way women were treated in the professional arena during that time.
Right. And I love the science of food. You know, they're like, there's that show, America's Test Kitchen,
Yeah.
you know, where they break it down, you know, instead of, you know, some cooking shows, it gets portrayed as alchemy, where, you know, it's a mystery how they manage to do it. Whereas some of these shows, they lift that veil and just and explain to you that it's chemistry, you know, it's molecules reacting
Right.
to heat or whatever.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting, and it makes cooking less intimidating for me.
Let's go to your daily food regimen now that you've been on this thing since April. What are you consuming each day and when? Is it a regular pattern
Yeah, well,
routine?
yeah,
Three
one of the things
meals.
my wife has emphasized to me, you know, is that you've got to make sure you're getting enough protein, because you're getting less food. And I still exercise. Oh, that's another thing. I'm back now to doing 40 push-ups a day.
What? You can do
So
40 push-ups.
yeah.
I'll bet I can't do 4.
Well, for most
How about
guys
you,
our
Kel?
age,
How many?
it's their shoulders, right?
I could
Does it
probably
kill your
do.
shoulders?
I could probably do 10, but
That's
yeah,
for a lot of
not much
guys.
more.
It kills your shoulders.
40 push-ups. Why, of all the exercises, Jim, would you choose that one? Why not setups, or why not squat thrusts? Why not jumping jacks? Why?
I've always been a
Sure.
push-up guy,
Really?
because as opposed to a stand-up guy, because it gets a lot of stuff involved. You know, it's
Yeah.
not just your pecs, it's not just your triceps. It gets your lats in there. It gets, you know, your stomach muscles. It's kind of like a plank in motion. You know, it gets a
Okay.
lot of stuff involved. So
Interesting.
I like them for that. And then I see how many I could do with my daughter on my back too,
Okay.
Ooh.
You know,
which is
that's
not many.
exactly right. People don't understand what natural weights, like in-home weight training, children can be. I remember when mine were babies, I
Yeah.
would use them as barbells, and it wasn't
Yes.
abuse of any kind. It's why not do it?
I do squats with her on my back, you know,
Yeah.
he's 70
The full
pounds now.
purpose, multi-purpose push-up sounds like what we've always been told about walking and swimming
Yeah.
and certain kinds of generally aerobic exercises. Well, I'm glad that's another one of our many commonalities. You're a push-up guy,
Yeah.
and I'm a push-up bra guy. As a matter of fact, one of our slogans at Gaza Strippers is "From the river to the sea cup."
Ah,
Oh man.
Yeah. So, what kind of protein are you getting then, since you
Oh,
need the
right.
protein for your push-ups?
Sorry about that. I sidetracked myself. Eggs in the morning,
Yep.
and then just like some toast. And
Yep.
then which is, you know what, I'm bummed though. One of the bad side effects is I love to go to the Highland Grill in my native Highland Park over there in St. Paul,
Sure. Great
where I'm a
place.
known guy, and I love the waitresses are so nice and kind and lovely there. But I'm not going there because I can't finish the meal. It's
Yeah,
a
there you
waste.
go. Yep.
And it's
I
not
agree.
because I've got ironclad discipline. I can't do it. I mean, you
I
reach a
agree.
certain point and it's
Yeah.
like, eh.
How would you like to have been one of the people tested for this drug, and then to be interrogated afterwards, like after a month, and you tell the doctors, you tell the technicians or whatever they are, I can
Yeah.
only eat a third of what they put on the table. I don't want anything for hours. Is that what you want to hear from me? Because that's what's going on with this
Yeah.
drug of yours.
You can't finish your meal, and you're just not thinking about food the way I mean, when I was a kid, you know, or a young man, on holidays at my Aunt Gretchen's house, I and my brother Spike uh, were always instructed to go last in the buffet line.
Yeah.
Because we ate so much. So I'm used to eating big portions. So it's a real adjustment for me. And I have to go slow, because if you dive in and just start shoveling it in, you do not feel good.
Right.
You
I
know,
totally agree.
it's
And you know what?
debilitating.
It's not just a crash diet thing. This is
No.
a life change.
Yeah,
This will be with you and me in our respective approaches for the rest of our lives.
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's great. And then for lunch, I'll have like chicken noodle soup augmented with garbanzo beans and be fine with that and
Well,
not feel
now
like I'm being cheated.
there's where we cross, where we garbanzo beans. I just have
No.
absolutely no appeal for me.
Oh, okay. No, I could do that or just the kind of crappy little ham sandwich you used to make for
That's exactly
school,
right.
you
That's
know.
exactly right. Yeah.
And
And what I really like about it is that even though we're spending an hour discussing it, I think about food less. I think about it as most Americans should, because we have so much in this country.
yeah,
All the other countries in the world would just love to have 10% of the food that we photograph. It's
exactly.
unnatural, our country's relationship to food.
Yeah, and if you go to gastronomic centric sort of countries like France or Italy, they enjoy their food and they devote a lot of time and science and art to it, but they don't serve you heaping amounts of it, when
Right.
you go to the restaurant. It's
Yeah, I don't
really
know who
good.
started the whole oversized portions thing, but it's part of our lore now, I think.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? The cartoonist D.B. Clyburn had a collection of cartoons, and one of them is never eat anything bigger than your head,
Yeah, there you go. That's,
which is actual advice in this country.
yes.
You know,
Yeah.
that,
I'll tell you how I brought my A1C down from 8.5, where I was actually scolded by the doctor.
yeah,
And I said to myself, I don't want to be talked to like this again. And so I had 3 months to straighten up and fly right. And each morning was a couple of crisp slices of turkey bacon with a boiled egg. Uh, Lunch was a small tuna salad. And then for dinner, a red meat and a green vegetable, like let's say a small fillet with some strands of asparagus. And that was the day's intake. And I was okay because of obviously, the other drugs were kind of a supplement to that as far as appetite suppression and filling in the things about blood pressure and cholesterol and
yeah,
thyroid, blah, blah, blah.
yeah. That's the thing. You're doing that, but you don't feel like you're being deprived. You don't feel like
Right.
you're getting screwed. You're
Yeah.
fine with it, and
Yeah.
you're happy to walk away from that plate with what you just described and not feeling like you should have had more. Oh,
How
somebody at
are
the
you?
door who I think might be my dog.
Oh, okay.
Please, we're in a podcast. Come on.
Did you say I think it might be my dog?
Oh, sorry, can't talk right now. Okay, come here, Bailey. Yeah, we actually just got some new windows. Thank you.
You heard it
I'm
here.
thinking, does the man live with a cartoon dog, the kind that comes in and out of the house and talks and stuff? That might be my dog. Let me get the door. That's a weird
Marmaduke.
one.
No, I thought it might
Yeah,
be
exactly.
I thought it might be my daughter. She's out with my wife, and I thought she might just be getting dropped off.
Mm.
And
Oh,
she doesn't
okay.
have a key. Bailey, get out
Are
of
you
the-
still able? Are you still able to imbibe socially? For instance, my
Oh.
next trip to the Twin Cities, if I want to organize something at Tavern on Grand for some brewski and walleye, you would still be up for that?
Yes, but I'm probably only good for a couple of pints,
Wow.
and that's it. Not
So,
because I am worried about my intake or anything. I'll be sated, and I'll
well,
be
how
fine.
about this then? How about we get to the real manly drinks where you only have to have a
Yeah,
few sips, like single malt scotches or some vodka or something?
yeah, that's what it probably would have to come down to. Because if I have a couple of pints of ale,
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah.
You know,
Something a small drink that would, as they used to say, put hair on your chest,
right.
or put lead in your pencil.
Yeah, we'll just get ourselves a tray of tequila
There you
shots.
go. Yeah, I'll tell you who serves the best margarita in the Twin Cities, and the first margarita that ever got me drunk on two of them, and that's down there at Cesar Chavez Boulevard or whatever
Yep.
that is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Boca
what's the name
Chica.
of the? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. After two of those, I was talking to the bartender. I said, "You know what? I'm gonna form a cult around you." And we're going to bring you to all the meetings, and we're going to show you around, and we're going to sing alms and hosannas to your ass if you keep making $5 drinks this strong on a Thursday afternoon. He was awesome. I mean, they were really potent. You've done it. You've done the Boca Chica margarita.
Yeah. You know, back when I worked over in St. Paul at the WCCO St. Paul Bureau, I would go down to Boca Chica after work, or farther down the street to El Burrito for lunch, and go through the
Hmm.
cafeteria line there. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's good eating over on that side of town. Still is.
Do you realize that you have lost on your body? You have lost the equivalent of a third of a jockey at
Yeah,
Canterbury Park. You've
it's
lost a third of a runway model. Isn't that nuts?
yes, it
The next
is.
time you look at a runway model or a jockey, just in your head, just slice off, like from the arms up, and that's what you've lost. That's
Well,
really awe-inspiring, I think.
I'm having to, though, to replace my wardrobe, because the pants that I've been going around the world in of late, now I put them on and I look like a crackhead,
Yeah.
because they're just drooping and dangling off of me.
What
So
what are you at liberty to say what size you were and what size you are now? Let's say waistband. We don't
yeah,
necessarily. Okay.
yeah, I was like a 36-inch waist at my most rotund.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can, wear a 34, and it's kind of loose, like I can
Mm-hmm.
tuck in a, flannel shirt or a wool shirt with that. I could
So
probably
you
get
could
by.
be a 33.
Oh, easily. Yeah. If it was summer, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm having to kind of I've never had that experience. And I think, I mean, I hope this doesn't come off as sexist, but I think a lot of women are familiar with this cycle where they have different clothing from different points in their weight loss and gain cycle over the years,
Yeah.
and they kind of set them aside, and if they need them, they can go to them. I've never had that
Right.
experience before, where I've had to downsize in pants.
Right.
And it kind of puts me in touch with what a miserable thing that would be if that was a regular part of your existence, which I've
Right.
had several women explain to me it has been, that
Yeah.
like, you're lucky this is the first time you've ever experienced this. And I'm actually experiencing it in a positive way, because I'm going down in circumference. But yeah, I've never had that.
In our
So you've never
youth,
been less than a 30, or you've never been a 34 before?
I used to be a 30, in college I was a 30.
Okay.
And
I'm
I
just saying,
thought
I
I
have
was
a ton of pants that I like, I think when I was in my 30s that I still have, and I'm like hoping someday, but yeah, I don't.
right. Yeah,
I should just give them away.
I'm never going to see 30 again, barring,
this is why the good Lord gave us goodwill, so we can give
right.
Clothes that we've
Amen.
grown out of, or that
Exactly.
are threadbare, to the poor.
How tall are you, Jim?
6'2".
Yeah, see, that's the difference between you and I'm 5'8". So it's like, when they tell you you should be 130 pounds, I'm like, no way.
Well, I know, and those BMI numbers, though, I'm suspicious of those. I mean, come on, they
Yeah.
seem a little bit.
But it sounds like you're striving to get to that point, I think.
Well, I'm shooting. You know what I'm shooting for? I'm at I'm kind of stalled at 198 right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to get to like 190. That was my playing weight when I was with the hurling club, the Robert Emmett's hurling club, which wasn't that long ago. And I was, I was fit, man.
That was before hurling could be construed as rejection of pizza.
Exactly. In fact, there are T-shirts that clubs have that read, "First we hurl, then we drink."
There you go.
Yeah.
The important statistic is not height. It's not measurements of any kind. It's the age. When we were younger, maybe I should just speak for myself. If there was an event that I was pointing to where I really needed to look sleek and slender and, what for me passes attractive, I could go on a crash diet and I could lose 20 or 30 pounds. As a matter of fact, I did it twice. And in each case, I was convinced that a man of my stature and age could lose enough weight that it would make even my flaccid penis look larger. So it was the vanity of youth together with the strength of that period of our lives, that contributed to the success there. And I didn't feel like I was missing anything. The problem was after the event, there was no sense of maintenance. No, there's no desire to maintain that weight back up. You would go. Do you have plans, or do you need plans on how to maintain once you get to 190?
I think, that's a good question. And other people have asked me this too. Like they ask, well, if you just keep taking this drug, I mean, aren't you going to just waste away to nothing after a while? But I don't think it works that way. And again, I wish my wife were here because she could explain this better. But I think you reach a healthy weight for your metabolism and your height and your bone structure and all that. And then I think it just levels off naturally. Now, here's the question. And I don't know if you've had this conversation with your doctor. I haven't. If I go off of this stuff, am I going to just balloon back up,
Yeah.
Or am I now comfortable enough with the way I eat that I can keep that going? But will the food noise come back? And will I get those cravings at night that I used to get?
Yeah.
To eat pointlessly.
Right.
I don't know. I hope not.
I've got a question. What do you miss? What's the food that you just like totally like this is so bad for me, but I love it. And now I don't love it anymore.
Nothing. That's the thing.
Really? Well, then that's not right.
I like here's a thing I used to love to just make myself, in the microwave is nachos.
Sure.
And it doesn't occur to me. I can look at nachos, on like somebody else's table at a restaurant and think, those look good.
Yeah.
I don't order
them.
Yeah. And I remember how much I liked them, and all that melted cheese. And
oh yeah, cheese is the devil. Cheese is a freaking devil. Yeah. Same thing with carbs. Same thing with carbs in general. Bread in particular. My weakness is bread and dairy. I had to eliminate bread and dairy, which is tough for me.
Right. I love a beautiful piece of bread. And I love olive bread. And I can have some bread, but not the amount of bread that I used to like to have.
Our bread days are over, Liney. What can I tell you?
Yeah, it's all protein, brother. I was never a big sweets guy though, happily.
Yeah, I love a bowl of ice cream. I don't know. I've always loved a bowl of ice cream. And you probably have never had ice cream.
I have, but it's just not one of my cravings,
Gotcha.
Did your family on some sort of high holy day or patriotic holiday, because mine did this, we would go over to a grandparent's house and they had the big vat and the steel can inside the vat and all the makings inside the steel can, and they would
Yeah.
grind the homemade ice cream.
It wasn't a part of a family tradition, but one of my buddies in junior high, Tom Vesley, who was always on the cutting edge of things, he decided to start making ice cream. And
Yeah.
I can remember going over to his house and going through that process, but then being struck by how good it was.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because we made it, but it seemed a lot better than the stuff that just comes in the gallon drums.
But also that was, consumption in mass quantities as a child and then as a young adult and adult. Right now, I think the genius innovation in the ice cream biz are the little Haagen-Dazs and Ben and Jerry minis.
Yeah.
It's like 4 or
I
5
agree.
spoonfuls. That's all you need. You don't need to, eat an entire pint in front of the TV. Just a taste. That's what it's all about, is great taste for a few minutes, and then you're done. And
And it's good. It's not like
yeah.
so much of the ice cream I ate as a kid was crap ice cream.
Yeah.
It's whatever my mother got, and it was low quality, ice cream in a carton, and just
Right.
not good. Now,
Also, I'm guessing you're saving money in this supposed age of inflation. I guess you're saving money on groceries, right? You're not buying the food you used to, and you're getting it consumed before it goes bad and has to be thrown out.
that's true. Yeah, that is true. And I spend more time on the perimeter of the grocery store, like in the produce section, in the fresh meats section, and not in the middle where you got all the processed stuff and the frozen stuff, or pizza. Oh my God. My favorite pizza place, my childhood pizza place, I go there now, I get a dinner salad and a 7-inch personal pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother and I would go in there. We would get a large pizza for just the two of us, and polish that off without even thinking about it.
Right. Oh my God, just inhale it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Never break stride.
How to make consumption of so little food interesting. I would begin with spice, salsa, that kind of thing. And this is the one thing that I was taught by my ill-fated relationship with Nutrisystem 30 years ago, when Nutrisystem had the Twin Cities and other medium markets blanketed with radio endorsers.
I remember.
Until they something got corrupt along the way, and there was a lot of litigation, blah blah blah.
Oh.
And because the food was so bad and had to be spiced in order to be palatable at all, we would have to go to a nurse every so often so they could, the Nutrisystem people could stay out of jail. They could claim, if worse came to worse, that they attended to us medically while we were on their plan. So the nurse says to me, "Oh, this is not good. How is it that you're losing so much weight ahead of schedule?" And I told her the truth. I said coffee and cigarettes, because the food is just so god awful. And they would give you lip service to sauces and salsa on the bland fake food, to make it seem like you were really accomplishing something there weight-wise and health-wise. And nothing could be further from the truth. And for all I know, this may have led to Dark Star's early death, was his brush with Nutrisystem. I don't know whether you remember this or not, but every standout performer at every radio station, it was practically Minnesota law that for that ratings period or a certain number of years, what have you, or months, you had to endorse Nutrisystem. There was a war between them and Weight Watchers or whomever, I forget. I just remember the agony of, I was paid. Everybody got paid, right? It was nice extra money. But it was not a pleasant experience physically. And
Did
And
anybody come out of that any radio announcer come out of that positively with a positive experience? I doubt
boy,
it.
you know what? I would love to, because I'm such a sucker for where are they now type stories. I would love to see a Minneapolis St. Paul magazine article written on the Nutrisystem class of '92, interviewing me, Dark Star, John Hines. I don't know. There may have been, some of the old popes at CCO who were on it. I don't know. I just
Right.
Now
know that
John Hines is advertising health insurance for geezers.
I tell him that all the time.
he's like the local Joe Namath. He's flogging Medicare type stuff.
Yes. Yep.
But I don't know. I take people at their word when they say to me through the media, as he did when I lived there. This would be before I left in 2011. I'm retired. I take a person at their word.
Right.
Fantastic. What great professional accomplishment. What a career you've had. Best of luck in retirement. Enjoy the hunting, fishing, golf, younger women, whatever. Oh no, they don't retire.
Yeah.
They're out there on the periphery with their commercials and whatnot. They want to
Oh,
have it both ways.
he's ubiquitous right now. I see him on, billboards and television commercials, and he's all in.
I just consider podcasting, as I said to both Kel and Kurt, it's therapy. It's stuff
Yeah.
that builds up in you during the week. You're all backed up as one might be with a couple of days after without sex, and you got to be able to have some sort of release.
Or if you're on
So that's
Wegovy.
yeah,
Sort of
right.
released.
That reminds me. Why did you decide on Wegovy as opposed to Ozempic if they have the same active ingredient?
Oh, well, I didn't really decide. That was kind of decided for me.
Okay.
But that's a good question. I should ask that.
Yeah.
I think Wegovy is kind of being, prescribed to people who don't have the numbers yet. I
Yeah.
didn't have the A1C numbers or the other numbers
Right.
that would
You've never been
legitimize it.
diagnosed as type 2 as diabetic in any way.
Right. But I have the genetic warning signs. Both my parents had type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
So there's that genetic proclivity. And I had the numbers that were headed towards pre-diabetes. The
Okay.
trend lines were ominous.
Okay. And does the dosage from the pen once a week, is it measured in milligrams like my Rybelsus is? I went from 3 to 7, and now I'm at 14, which is the limit. They don't allow you to go any higher than 14.
These must be somewhat different then, because the next level up, and I think it's the final level, will be, if I bother to go there, will be 2.4, but at 2.4 what? I don't know. But that's the maximum dosage of the Wegovy pens. I'm at 1.7 right now.
Have you ever eaten at whatever time you do in the day, and while you're eating, hear your stomach growl?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It's weird. I also, I don't want to gross everyone out here, but I've noticed I belch a lot more.
Yep.
Okay. So there's that. But and again here, well, I'm due for my next what do they call it? Where you get scoped.
Yeah. Colonoscopy?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're gonna do that?
Yeah, I've done it once,
He's a two-timer.
And now the next one is coming up. But and the worst thing about a colonoscopy, I think we can all agree, is the prep.
Yeah.
And yeah. But on Wegovy, that's a slow-moving train now.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll have to have that conversation with them.
What was this also decided for you, the colonoscopy? Because it would have to be for me. I'm not deciding on that.
Kind of. It wasn't like I walked into the office saying, you know what I could go for.
Yeah.
But
My
they
mother,
just said, this
my
is the
mother was so
age at which you should have your lower tract inspected for polyps.
yeah,
And
right.
I'm like, all right.
Do you have that? Does that also run in your bloodline?
No,
I don't
nobody's had it.
either. So why are we bothering?
I don't
Why
know.
are you?
I, of course, just follow the commands of my healthcare providers,
Ah,
and they tell me to do it, so I do it.
them.
It's not, yeah, you're not missing anything, brother.
I just have a thing about discomfort of
Yeah,
any kind at this time in my life, and I just don't.
that
If someone in my home decided for me that I needed a colonoscopy, I would say, well, we need to sit down with a family law attorney and start dividing the physical and financial assets, because I just have no, I had a one of the first doctors I met in LA. He was a dermatologist, Liney, and he was such an advocate for colonoscopy. He said, yes, a dermatologist says to me, you might as well be playing in traffic if you don't have a colonoscopy. I can't imagine playing in LA traffic. So you would
no.
think that that would light a fire under me. It did not, because, I hear about the drinking of the barium or whatever
Oh,
is supposed to line the inside of your body, and you can't eat for a day. But I'm
oh,
sorry, there's a point at which I have to draw the line.
discomfort defines the whole process. And then
Yeah,
when you go in for the, scoping of your
yeah,
lower tract, um, I guess if you're a tough guy and you don't want to do any sort of anesthetic, then you could drive yourself home. But if
yeah.
not,
Oh
then
no.
then that's a hassle.
Yeah.
It's not
I had
great.
to drive my partner home after she had hers.
Yeah.
You don't want to be operating anything, a ruler, a pencil, or
No.
anything after
Well,
that
and
experience.
because when I had the first one, we had a baby, I needed to get back on duty as soon as possible. So I said, can you like half dose me? So I'll come back quicker. And they're like, yeah, we can give you a milder dose. So I was kind of awake for it, but like I was drunk. But I'm looking at the same screen they're looking at.
Yeah.
And because I had to forego coffee for X amount of time, I
Yep.
developed a headache.
Yeah.
And
See,
also,
that's a non-starter with me too.
and from
Any
being just
cessation of coffee in the morning or afternoon.
hungry. And so
Yeah.
I took I violated protocol. I took a Excedrin, gel cap or whatever,
Mm.
and they're rounding the bend, and I'm looking at the monitor, and there it is, the telltale gel cap adhering
Wow.
to my
That's
intestinal wall or my
that's a
What
lot.
a
colon,
story.
and I felt busted, like,
That must have been looking like on a monitor at NASA and
yeah, it was
seeing
like, well, you remember Fantastic Voyage with Raquel Welch,
I wish I did.
where they get shrunken down and injected into a guy's bloodstream in a little teeny weeny submarine.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like I was in Fantastic Voyage, sadly without Raquel Welch, and Ronald Pleasance was in it. He was the
Yeah.
secret villain.
They've made some great advances in colonoscopy, I'm told.
Oh,
Decades ago, I would overhear people discussing about colonoscopies, and one guy would say to the other, "You will see God." And that is not the case anymore. It's supposedly not that traumatic. The
no,
same as dentistry, the
yeah.
same as dentistry. I had three, or maybe I had all of my wisdom teeth out, and it was traumatic because I didn't like the needle. I didn't like the sound of the tooth coming out. I especially didn't like the pain afterward. You know, I
Well,
would
and
not
I remember
volunteer
the
for that
guy
again.
exerting himself so much to get that he had his knee in my chest, or at least
Yeah.
that's what I experienced because I was awake. And oh God, yeah. I mean, did you see the movie Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman? Is
Oh
it
yeah,
oh,
a lot.
Oh my God.
Is it safe?
Yeah. Yes, it's very safe. You wouldn't believe how safe. Oh, good movie. But
I remember weeping, and I was of adult size, if not adult age, and I was weeping at home. And my father says to me, because I was griping first about the needle, and he
yeah.
says, "That needle is the best friend you got."
True.
Yeah,
And he's
this
right.
is the same man who, during the Iranian hostage crisis, and the the ripples across the water, gasoline availability wise here in this country. Remember the long lines at the gas pump and the rising prices and whatnot. We
Oh,
thought the sky was falling.
yeah.
And Bob Yates Sr. said, "I don't care how much I have to pay. I just like knowing I can get it." And then another one that came up just the other day that I quoted him on had to do with astronomy. Oh, I know. We're seeing Jupiter. Every morning when we wake up, we're facing Jupiter, and Jupiter drops down below the mountains. And that's kind of a, natural high.
Yeah.
It's a strange thing. First thing in the morning, you're sober, you're not hallucinating it. Anyway, he says, oh, it was first people on the moon, and he says, this ain't 100,000 miles between here and the moon. What do they step it off? Did they step it off? Now tell me that I'm not the son of the milkman.
Oh, that's funny.
Tell me
Hilarious.
or in Minnesota, as they call him, the Schwann's man. Tell
Yeah, right.
tell me
Yeah,
I'm not
now it's called yellow. It's
really
changed.
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
Really?
doesn't work. Yellow. I don't get
that
that.
was a story I told the other day on my son. I came home from work one day and he was like, 6. I said, "How'd it go today, Robbie?" He says, "Oh, great, Dad. Schwann's man came, stayed for an hour." And you don't know whether to take him, you don't know whether to take him seriously or not. But speaking of the mother of my children, I told this story, I think, last podcast about how deceptive clothes can be on a person, to where you think, oh, they don't need to lose weight, right? Because we discussed
Yes.
this a few minutes ago
Mhm.
about how deceptive, about how a person can wear their weight well or wear their body well. And the first time she undressed for me, I couldn't resist. I had to verbalize it. I said, I was not expecting those, meaning these enormous, perfectly formed breasts. And oh, by the way, as a postscript, Kel, to that same subject,
Yeah.
I brought it
You
up
heard
with
the
my
story.
partner. I brought it up with my partner. I said, "What did you think the first time I undressed for you?" And she said that she was told back in the day, this may have been college or slightly after, to give you some idea of how misinformation circulates on the playgrounds of our youth, going all the way up through college and after. She
Yeah.
was told that they all look the same.
Huh.
Isn't that nuts? That
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
that is surprising.
that women could expect the next guy to look like the last guy.
Strictly standard issue.
Exactly. So what happens if you go out with John Hamm or you go out with Michael Fassbender, and
Right.
down come the pants, and he can hardly get them down because he's a sundial down there. That's got to be that's got to cause a woman to go, "Sorry, I'm out. I can't possibly handle that. You're going to need to get your things and leave." And so you pick up the clothes like there's been a hockey fight. You pick up your clothes, sticks and helmets, and part ways, never to be seen again.
Slink off.
Sounds like a Larry David Curb episode.
It
Yeah.
does.
Is
What
there
was I gonna
is there any aspect of this that we have not discussed?
Well, my
By the
wife
way,
just walked in.
are you buying new clothes?
Yeah, I bought some new
Nice,
pants, which
nice.
is great, and I bought them without even trying them on.
Oh,
Yeah, I just and they fit
yeah.
but it was disturbing when I had to first go out into the world
Mm-hmm.
with the same pants I've been operating with. And
Yeah.
I did feel like I just got out of county.
Right.
you know, because my belt was cinched way up and they were all bunched,
Yep.
and not a good look, you know.
So are you still wearing belts? Because I've been going with the flexi thing, the expandable
Elastic.
thing. You know, just sweatpants. I don't even bother
Oh,
with pants sometimes.
yeah,
Just jammy bottoms.
I wear like a Patagonia belt, you know, that just doesn't have any
Yeah.
holes, so you can cinch it as much or as little as you need to.
Yeah.
Because I needed that to make these other pants work until I don't shop much. I'm not a shopper, and so
Right. Me
took
either.
a while to get around to getting some pants that fit in a respectable way.
Yeah.
You online shop, Jim?
A little bit, but I'm reluctant. My upper body, I'm okay with online shopping for,
Yeah.
but pants, shoes,
You need to
I
try
don't
them
trust
on.
it. Yeah.
Got it.
We wish you the best with getting these last 8 pounds lost, and we especially thank you for helping us kick the last hour in the ass in a major way on the Bob and Kel CleverCast. We kicked it in the ass. They still got to pay us. That's what we would say at the end of the Bob and Kenny show.
There
We
you
would say
go.
they still got to pay us. That is really, that's
Those are
pretty
the days.
amazing. What a country, the whole capitalism thing. Thanks, Jim. Keep in touch, please.
Thank you. See you guys.
Thanks for
Bye bye
coming.
now.
See you soon.
Bye.